I'll tell you a secret. I've never been able to make friends and meet girls. It seemed to me that this mission was impossible. But one day, I found a way out. Somewhere in my mind, my brain thought, it's not working in this reality, then let's create our own. And my life changed after that. For example, I was never very sociable, and I didn't look attractive to girls. I was uncomfortable in public places. I didn't like it when my parents or younger sisters came into my room. I valued respect for the boundaries of personal space and demanded the same from others. But at some critical moment, everything changed. By the way, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Dilton, and I'm 17, and I'm in school. I have a family, as I said, parents and sisters. My mother always said I was special, so I think she was trying to disguise my desire for self-isolation. From an early age, I loved being alone, eating dinner, walking, playing with toys. Once my father gave me a diary for my birthday and advised me to keep notes on my mood. This is for emotional relief. Since then, this activity has become one of my favorites, until this year. On my 17th birthday, my parents gave me a smartphone. It is very awesome and expensive. Although we did not live richly, my father and mother still paid out. This was my father's wish. I know they feel responsible for the fact that I am not like everyone else, and they try to please me in every possible way. I appreciate it, even if I don't say it out loud. Naturally, it was an insanely cool gift, and the first thing I did was run into the room and try out the gadget. In Google, I found out a lot of information about the functions and capabilities of the device, and also came across a curious program. It was gaining popularity on the network. It was called Life, in the translation of life. It looks like a normal app. You register, create a character to your liking, the main character of the app, and perform the proposed tasks. For each successfully completed, you get points. The more, the better. So I created an improved version of myself, without dark circles under my eyes, with a toned body, taller, with a perfect smile. In a word, a handsome man who was respected and loved by everyone around me. The first thing the game offered me was to meet someone and make friends. I had to learn to conduct a dialogue like in real life. But I didn't even know how to do it, and my palms were sweating all the time from nerves. It was very realistic, or so it seemed to me. Then I saw our school in the game, and a few older boys came up to me at lunch and sat down with me to eat. This attracted the attention of my classmates. I surprised myself, but they asked me something on the devices, what I was good at. So the conversation started smoothly, and then they invited me to meet them after school so I could help them choose a set-top box. It was the best moment of my life. We had a great time and got to know each other better. They were very different from me in their confidence and freedom. I knew that living in the shadows made me uncomfortable for me alone. In the evening, they patted me on the shoulder, thanked me, and told me that we should definitely go camping together. I got home late. My mother waited anxiously at the door. When she saw me, she asked me where I was and why I didn't answer the phone. I told her everything. Her expression changed. She smiled and said no more. The next morning, I packed up my things as quickly as ever, had a bite to eat, and ran to school. There I saw those guys again. They said hello to me, and I went to class. My classmate Jim sat next to me and asked me what I was doing to attract the attention of high school students. You won't believe it, but within a week, I had my own company. I started to get involved in even new hobbies. I met those guys. We went to the promised camping. We spent time with my new friends. Parents watched the positive changes and were happy. My father said he always believed in me. About a couple months later, the school holidays came. Summer is a great time. My friends and I made a lot of plans. We found a temporary part-time job and used the money to go to Disneyland. And when I got home, I wanted to enroll in SMM and IT courses. I wanted to link my future to it. In general, life has changed, and all you had to do was change yourself. I wish I hadn't realized that until I was 17. Finally, after a month of hard work, we packed up and moved to California. Harry, our friend's older sister, went with us to accompany us. When we set foot in the land of entertainment, we could not believe our eyes. Disneyland was so close. Our company spent 3 crazy days there. We rode, ate everything harmful, took a lot of photos, walked in the evenings. I was happy. I couldn't have been better. Just when I thought about it, Chris came up to me. This was the name of a random passerby. We met in the queue for the ride. She came here with her parents for a vacation. We immediately found a common language. I hated to leave her, but we had to leave. Chris left me her social address and phone number. I really liked her. I drove home full of happiness. Happiness. What is a nice word, and why did I set myself so many boundaries before? I asked myself. All summer passed in a crazy rhythm. I was able to help my dad in the garage, my mom in the kitchen, and be with friends. And in the evening, we talked with Chris on Skype. I promised her that I would definitely come to California next year. And then one morning, when I woke up, I felt tired in my body. I was broken. I was cold. I can't be sick, I thought. I got out of bed and went to the bathroom, brushed my teeth, washed my face, and looked at myself in the mirror. What? Those dark circles under your eyes again. My emaciated body. Where's my fancy hair? Ah! I shouted. My mother exclaimed anxiously, Honey, are you all right? Open the door. I stood dumbfounded for a few more minutes. My mother was knocking on the door, and when I opened it, she hugged me tightly and asked me why I was screaming. I didn't know what was going on. Mom, I think something has happened. I need to call Jim or Chris, or better yet both. Today is an important exam at school. The guys from the senior class asked them to help with something. I have so much to do, and I'm kind of sick. Give me some medicine or tea or maybe some chicken broth, like you usually do. Huh, Mom? Mom? I babbled, and my mom stood with her hands over her mouth and cried. She looked at me and cried again. I didn't know what was going on. Son, Jim and Chris don't exist, she said softly. What? Mom, what a load of nonsense. Of course they are. We've been talking for months. I introduced Jim to you. Showed you a picture of Chris from Disneyland. Don't you remember? I asked, and I felt myself getting angry. My mother cried even more and said that I didn't go anywhere, that my friends and girls didn't exist, that I didn't work anywhere, that it was all an illusion, or rather a game that I played from morning to night, that I created an ideal life for myself there and got involved to the point where I confused the game with reality. As proof, my mother showed me this game, and I only noticed it today because my mother managed to take my phone out of my hands before I woke up. I'm sorry, son. My dad and I shouldn't have given you this phone. It took over your life. I'm sorry, was all she said. In general, I returned to my boring, gray, monotonous life. My dad sold my smartphone, and I kept coming back to reality, sorry. And I loved that life so much. But since then, I actually began to help my father in the garage and my mother in the kitchen, learned how to fix cars and cook food. And you know what? I decided not to lose heart and try to build my life, not as in the game, but even better. I realized that I can manage my life on my own.
Hi everyone, my name is Mike. I have a little sister named Jessica. Once I found out about her secret, which she never told. To say that I was in shock is to say nothing. When I was 6 years old, I was joyfully informed that my mother went to the store for my sister. My mother was gone for 12 days, and then all sorts of aunts and neighbors ran in with gifts and booties, and everyone was happy and looked at something lying on my bed and constantly yawning. They told me that this is now my sister. After a good look at it, I asked my mother only 2 questions. Mom, couldn't you have picked a better one at the store? And why is she always making faces? That's how my little sister came into my life. As a child, like all other boys, I wanted a younger brother to play together as hooligans, but fortune gave me a little sister. Fortunately, Jessica was a kid, and we could play different boyish games. She was no worse than a boy, and could even stand up for herself. But with the arrival of my sister, all the attention in the family switched to her. All my toys were no longer mine. She could easily have come and taken anyone she wanted, and if I objected, my mother told me not to be greedy, especially for my sister's sake. Since childhood, my parents had taught me to care for and protect her, that I am, as an older brother, responsible for her. So I made sure that something did not happen to her by accident, or that she didn't put any dirt in her mouth. She always wanted to taste everything. All the items she had in her hand dragged into her mouth. I couldn't always keep track of her. Once, we played with her in the courtyard of the house. She is fast and loves to run. She ran around the yard like mad. She ran so hard that her legs knocked down and she fell and hit the slide. Immediately, blood appeared on her face. I was in a panic, and I'm afraid of blood. I ran home as fast as I could and called my mother. She saw Jessie and screamed in fear and called an ambulance. While the ambulance was driving, my mother and I tried to stop the blood. Fortunately, the injury was not serious, just a split eyebrow. There was no concussion. But from the moment she starts running, I try to be close to her and run after her. She thinks we're playing catch-up, but she can run like this for hours. Sometimes it's really hard to keep up with her. Growing up, everyone has their own interests, and we were no longer able to spend time together so closely. Our communication consisted of teasing each other. I didn't even know her friends, or what she was interested in. She sat in her room all day, sometimes just going out for dinner. It was strictly forbidden to enter her room, and I had no particular desire to do so. I had my own amusements. One evening, passing by her room, I saw a laptop on her bed. In it, all the time came some messages without stopping. Usually, her door was always closed. Jessica went somewhere and forgot to close the door behind her. It was really interesting to see who so relentlessly writes. I couldn't resist going in to see who it was. It turned out that her friends in the group wrote to her. Everyone asked to show them something. I understand they wanted to see something from my sister, but what exactly was not clear. At the moment when I was reading, in the room went Jessica and quickly ran up and closed the laptop. She angrily looked at me and kicked me out of the room. The question of what she was supposed to show her friends remained in my mind and did not give rest. I had to find out what it was, and I began to watch her. I tried to notice any changes, but nothing strange happened. Even went to her room one night and stole her laptop, but there was a password that I didn't know. All my attempts resulted in failure, but fortune has given me another chance. Once, I accidentally noticed a black spot on the skin under Jessica's t-shirt, something like a birthmark. But as a child, I didn't notice it, and if I did, I would have noticed it. I didn't know what it was yet, although I had various guesses in my head. Then I decided to cheat. I went without knocking to her room and said that I knew everything. I didn't even know what I knew, but my sister was in shock. First of all, for the fact that I went so unexpected, and that I knew everything. I saw panic in her eyes, and then she started crying and begging not to tell anyone about it. I honestly did not expect such a reaction from her. I said it was a joke. I did not think she would start to cry. I hadn't seen her like this. She began to calm down and admit that it was a joke. She barely regained consciousness. And since then, there is still some kind of secret. She had no other choice. She had to share her information. She picked up and showed me her belly tattoo. There was a drawing of a butterfly. I was really shocked. The fact is that our family strictly followed the rules in sequence. We were not even allowed to go out or hang out. And if our parents found out about the tattoo, the scandal would be strong. She told me that she has a best friend named Emily. So this girl was also very nimble. And unfortunately, her appendix was removed as a child. The scar was large and not beautiful. She didn't know how to cover it and decided to get a tattoo on the scar. But she was doubting and didn't have the courage to do it. And my sister, as a best friend, decided to support her and agreed to do a tattoo with her, so they did both. After hearing the story, I seemed to understand that friends need to be supported. But so? It was too much for me. Jessica asked me not to tell my parents, otherwise, she'd get in a lot of trouble. I decided to keep this secret with her. After all, she is my sister. We must support each other. I promised that no one would find out about it, but she forbade me to do such reckless things. And of course, as an older brother, I advised her to behave well. So I had a little secret with my sister. Of course, it is bad that our parents were not told. I feel guilty in front of them. But I hope that in time there will be a convenient moment when my sister will be able to admit about her tattoo.